Saving through Stokvels has been a South African way of boosting one's finances for decades. At the end of the year, Stokvels have become particularly useful in enabling households to cover major expenses like Christmas shopping, travel, food, as well as school-related expenses for the new year. But the arrangement has also evolved, with some investors using this mechanism to save for big-ticket items like homes or to invest long-term in shares and much more. Well, to discuss the impact of Stokvels and how they've evolved and the importance of putting in security measures in a structure that requires trust, I'm joined by Dr Frank Magwegwe. He's the Executive for Financial Wellness and Advisory at Nedbank. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
Again, you've become a regular.
Absolutely. And what a beautiful topic to put on the agenda.
Yeah, no, it's
so appropriate being in December.
Absolutely. Very appropriate indeed. And it's been very impactful over a number of years.
Without a doubt.
To help households at times like these. Elaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. I often think of Stokvels as really one of South Africa's unsung heroes, because people often spend a lot of time thinking about only the financial aspect of them. Of course, that is key, but there's a whole social impact, financial education, supporting each other, being an accountability partner, that comes through that. So certainly from the finances perspective, I think we've seen three major things. You recall right at the beginning, you almost had your sort of burial Stokvel to assist in the someone passes away, you put them away with dignity. Then we started seeing a shift into savings, where some money is put together, most of it still in a bank account type, but certainly moving away from burial. The shift we are seeing now is investments, Stokvels, putting money in unit trust, shares on the stock exchange. We're seeing property unit trust, where people are clubbing money together, to buy property, and even travel. So certainly, with the changes that we are seeing just in terms of society, we're seeing that through in Stokvels evolving. But at the core for me, a group of individuals getting together, they're aligned in what it is that they want to achieve, and through peer pressure from each other, they have those achievements.
Yeah, no, it's a great story you're telling there. The interesting thing is that the banking industry has been looking at this arena for the longest time, because back in the day, people would save and put cash under mattresses and things like that. Things have evolved, yes. But to what extent are Stokvels in the banking system? In other words, how much of Stokvels, which amount to about 11 billion rand per annum, how much of those are in the banking system, where the banking system renders instruments for this money to grow, etc., etc.?
I think banks have made some inroads. They would want to make more. If you look at banks like Nedbank, for example, helping to formalize Stokvels by allowing them to have a constitution as a starting point, which then allows them to open a bank account. So of the roughly, I'm told there are about 11 million Stokvels in South Africa, I would say a small fraction of them are within the formal banking sector, having a bank account, and even those with the bank account, we're still seeing it really just as a mechanism to be able to put the weekly or monthly contributions. Most of the time, the money sits there, doesn't really earn in high interest rates. I think the next evolution is to build savings like products, or even investment like products, that members of a Stokvel would be okay with putting some of their monies there. So for now, banks have really made progress just to formalize them and allow Stokvels to have bank accounts.
Stokvels traditionally have been quite informal, but in a way, if the stakes are high, if you're putting away 1,000 rand a month or 10,000 rand a month, the stakes are quite high, depending, on where you come from and what you earn, etc., etc. How important then is it to think about things like insurance? How do you factor in the possibility of a member dying? Because that can happen. I remember I was part of a Stokvel once, and one of the ladies passed, but we weren't contributing a lot of money. But say if it's a high stakes thing, what sort of things do you need to consider, and what mechanisms should you put in place such that if things that happen beyond your control happen, then you're able to still carry on as if you were not affected?
I think for me about three things. So the first one I would think of is trust, is to really make sure that the people who become part of the Stokvel, there's almost some sort of vetting. Someone knows some someone else who introduces them. You know their way, because you don't want them to receive money and then the next minute they say, oh, I no longer work, I'm not able to contribute. So trust is important. Then we move to the second, formalize without a doubt. Gone are those days of having, money in a briefcase, money wherever people keep money, in Stokvels, under a mattress. No, you've got to formalize, have a constitution that allows you to then go and open a bank account. The third point you raise is so critical, insurance. So just starting with being able to make sure that you move away even from handling cash. It should be EFT going into the account. That helps. End of the year, as we are in now, being very careful around drawing large sums of money and then sharing them among members. I think because many Stokvels that are able to open a bank account, they meet those know your client requirements. They would also be able to take some insurance policies that would protect them in the event of a member passing away or just protecting their savings.
Yeah, and very quickly, as we run out of time, would you recommend, given that we're always told as South Africans that we don't save enough, would you recommend that more people participate in Stokvels?
Without a doubt. There is strong evidence that shows that participating in a Stokvel helps with three things. Firstly, it's about putting money aside, tick. But it's about also developing financial habits that saves one in the end. And people who belong to Stokvels, some of the research that I've done at Gibbs, for example, clearly there's evidence they have better financial health compared to people who do not belong to Stokvels. I think part of the reason is almost this accountability partner that helps you to develop the saving habit.
Excellent. Dr. Frank Magwegwe, thank you so much for your time.
Fantastic
as always.
To be
He's
here.
Executive for Financial Wellness and Advisory at Nedbank.